All right, so welcome to the February 2022 Disability Ministry Video Roundtable from Key Ministry. I'm Beth Golick, and my colleague Catherine Boyle, who is our Director of Mental Health Ministry, is here today. And our topic is, I forget what our catchy title was, but basically we're talking about doing ministry kind of in a new way, doing drive-throughs and drive-ups and drive-ins. Because you all have been pretty creative these last 2 years. I would venture to say that very few of us were considering doing events like this prior to March of 2020. And yet now many of us have participated in or hosted some really amazing events. For instance, last week, many of our churches, and I know some of you on here, participated in Shine Through events as our way of hosting Tim Tebow Foundation Night to Shine events this year, because we weren't allowed to do them in person. So, and that was, for the churches that did it, that was an event where guests drove up in their vehicles, stayed in their vehicles, and were cheered on and celebrated by folks standing outside the vehicles. I know that there have been some churches that have done some really great things with drive-in movies and just all kinds of different, we've done drop-off types of things to individuals' homes. So I thought we would just open it up, share some ideas that have worked, because even though I am part of the Key Ministry staff, I also am on a church staff, and every month I'm learning ideas from all of you, and we've implemented several of these drop-off or drive-in or drive-through events at my church because of what I've been learning from all of you. Before we begin, I do want to point out that some of these ideas, work great for our, most of us are in some kind of special needs or disability ministry, but these are things that the whole entire church can do and do well, and can really, welcome the community and, support families and individuals in the community, whether or not it's part of a quote special needs ministry. So I'll stop talking. Who would like to start by sharing an event that their church has done or that they've participated in? I'm looking at you, Al.
Thank you. I was part of actually 2 Shine Throughs this past weekend. That was my 6th year to do Night to Shine type of events, but the last 2 have been drive-throughs because of COVID and not wanting to pass on COVID. Last Thursday, I got a phone call from someone with Young Life I work with, and there was someone that was going to go to her prom, but he couldn't get a ride. So she arranged for me and 3 others to go to the group home. Actually, it's the rehab center he's in, and we put up a sign and gave him the crown and everything. So he actually got his own Shine Through at outside his group home, which was really fun to do. That was actually one of my highlights, was going to his group home and doing that. I've never done that before. Then on Friday was the actual official Shine Through, and I was part of one at a church called Cornerstone. But the Young Life clubs I work with, the 3 I work with, they went basically to 2 other clubs, to 2 other Night to Shines. One in Haskell, and another one, which was a new one, in Mawa. And I heard they all went well, all 3 of them. I had a blast helping at mine. So, all 3 I worked with. There were other ones in New Jersey as well, but the 3 I know of were good. Plus, the Shine Through allows you to go places. I guess Night to Shine you could, but normally, traditionally, you don't go to someone's house for a prom, but because we were going out anyway, and that was kind of in our mindset, we actually got to go to a rehab center and deliver a Shine Through to someone who really appreciated it.
I love that. So one of the things I'm hearing is that this kind of presented a new opportunity to actually go to the group home and celebrate the residents there, or rehab center, celebrate the residents there, which is something that probably would not have happened had it not been for COVID. And so that kind of allowed you to, reach folks in a whole new way, very personal way. So I love that. Thank you. Yeah, you guys are doing some pretty cool things in New Jersey, so keep it up. All right.
I have a question.
Yes.
I heard both of you say shine through as well as night to shine. Are they two different things?
Do you want me to, you want to take it out?
Well, Night to Shine is the official overseeing name for everything that the Tebow Foundation officially does. It has traditionally been a prom, but this year, because of COVID, they normally don't allow you to gather together. One way to, I guess, replace it or do something else was these drive-by kind of parades or proms where you have to register. Well, normally you do, but others just kind of crashed them and it was okay because everyone had extras anyway. But you go to a specific church that's hosting and they introduce you. And I actually was a buddy. I accompanied 3 different young men going around the whole cycle that we had, from the welcome to the crowning, to the photos, to the dancing, to we had some balloons and stuff like that too, and cupcakes as well. So there are different stations with the shine through that we did. I mean, we're all saying we hope it's in person next year in the same place, because 2 and 3 years ago we did it in person.
Yeah.
But the shine through is a particular way of doing it that's more outside, and you drive along a red carpet and there's different stations, different volunteers are involved in a similar way than but it's not as much a one-on-one. Like at the prom, it's like one buddy for one guest, and where I had 3 different guests over the time, so I didn't need many buddies, but there's still plenty of room for volunteers outside for the hyping and the dancing and stuff like that. We had a bunch of dancers and things like that as part of the stations.
Yeah, and so Night to Shine, and as Al said, has traditionally been a prom. And it always happens the Friday before Valentine's Day. So this is, a Tim Tebow Foundation initiative. In February 2020, so it was almost a month to the day before the world shut down, over 700 churches on that exact night hosted a Night to Shine prom worldwide. So this was, this is happening. This is it's a movement. I mean, this happens all over the world, all on the same night. So that year, 700 churches. And then of course, a month later, the world shut down. Because the Tebow Foundation is making the decision for hundreds and hundreds of churches in all areas of the US and abroad, they had to make the decision super early to make it a virtual event this year. So host churches were told, I mean, months and months and months and months and months ago, that it could not be in person. So the Tebow Foundation encouraged churches to host shine-throughs, which is what Al described. And as a church that's in a northern climate, shall we say, at first I thought, no way, that it's going to be, we can't do it. We can't have, cheerleaders out there and, all these fun things like they can down in Florida. But you know what? We did it. And we had 45 high school Rockettes, like kick line. We had a drum line. We had people in costumes. It rained the entire time. It was really cold. The weather was miserable and it was awesome. And everybody was smiling ear to ear. And our guests just, I mean, they just, the pictures, like they're just huge smiles. And our volunteers out there in the, rain the entire time, freezing cold, and they just loved it. So, Allison jumped on here. I want to thank Allison because you're actually the one that like tipped me over to going from there's no way we can do this in Ohio in February to all right, let's give it a try. Because Allison's from Pennsylvania and she did it last year. And I'm just so glad we did. It was just such a wonderful way to honor our guests. And yes, it's not the same as doing an in-person prom, but it was pretty darn cool. So in the chat, Diana is sharing that they did that too, which I think is referring to going to group homes and making deliveries. And they took all their leftover Shine-Thru roses to a rehab center. That's cool. And for those of you who are watching live, Diana is actually sharing their pictures in the chat. Yeah, our church did deliveries to every single guest's home or, group home or whatever. So we did that earlier in the week. Yeah, it was just, you get creative on how you're going to reach people. There were definitely participants that would never, ever come to an in-person prom. So this was a way to celebrate some folks and, engage and that wouldn't come to an in-person prom just because it's too much, either from a medical standpoint or a sensory standpoint. So I'll go ahead and say it, pandemic blessing. Okay, there, I said it. Diana, do you want to add anything?
Yeah, the fun thing is that we're not in the north, we're in the south.
Yes.
Still get cold weather, but we were blessed with a high of 78 that day and the low of 59. So with no rain. So I really give you guys all credit for all encouraging me, because I did not, even being in the South, we didn't do it in 2021. And I just thought, what a loser, what, we can't even be in person. And I had some great, y'all here encouraged me, Beth, you encouraged me. And it was the most amazing night. I can't believe it. Like I think what you already said, Beth, there were some people that we just like couldn't contain them in their cars. Like they were out of the car. Our pastor was pulling people out of the cars. It was he called it yesterday in our meeting, our staff meeting. He's like, it was a dance in the parking lot. It was not like what Tim Tebow, like we said, we were going to keep everybody in the car. We did not keep everybody in the car. We had a Christian school that was local, their baseball team captain reached out to me, I guess in the beginning of January, and said, I want this to be a team event. Oh my gosh. If you guys have a chance to see that link, every boy dancing is pretty much the baseball team. And we had a lot of people that didn't come because, volunteers that signed up. And I think it's because in San Antonio, it was like the first night of our big rodeo that had been canceled for 2 years, the rodeo and stock show. So I think like people were just kind of like, night to shine, stock show, rodeo, like, what are we gonna do? But God had worked it out perfectly. It was the most exciting thing. And then really for some of the kings and queens that would never have come to a dance, that was the hugest part for me. I guess my biggest downfall was that I didn't see every single car. I'd get caught up with one car and then they moving to the next area. And then like another car would have already like slipped by me. And so I'm like, I can't be everywhere. I don't know, Al, you probably had that same feeling. It's like, I want to see everybody. So yeah, it was exciting. My husband and I finally, after recovering from it, and we're not fully, but last night watched all the pictures just on our big screen TV. I'd seen them all on my phone and on my computer, but going through it slower and just looking at all the families. I just think everybody that made me think like, yeah, don't give up. It's different. It's not the same. And I'm kind of like a creature of habit. So I was like, it's not night to shine.
Right.
But it was still good. So thanks let me share that. It's
Oh,
one.
thank you for sharing it, because that's just, I mean, you guys are awesome. So I hope you all know that.
We had a bunch of buddies fighting to get people. In the end, I just kind of stood back because all these ladies were like really enjoying it and they kept running at the front for the next one. So I mean, they're all professionals in disabilities. So it was interesting seeing that happen, that they
Yeah.
were really excited to go through with people. And it actually it wasn't as cold as it was last year. So we were happy we weren't freezing like we did last year.
So at your event, Al, so people got out of their vehicles and did a little bit of a like walk through stations? Is that how yours was?
Unofficially, no.
Okay.
But
If
the
we weren't
dancing-
recording, what would your answer be?
the dancing and the photos, definitely there was some, and the blow up animals too for pictures and stuff. There was a lot of people out of their vehicles.
Yeah. Yeah. Our weather was crappy enough that people stayed in their vehicles, but yeah. Cool. Who else wants to share about Shine Through, Night to Shine, or anything else? Sylvia, and then Allison.
On that particular day, we did a pick up your gift the week before for those who wanted to. And then we had assigned drivers to deliver the gifts to the guests that did not come to the event that we were having. But the night of Night to Shine, we viewed the Tim Tebow video and did it wasn't a webinar, it was a Zoom meeting, so that we had over 200 and some people on the Zoom screen, where we showed the Tim Tebow video, and then we had an after party where we had a dance room, a photo booth room, and a game room. Wow. So that they could rotate through each one of those stations. The interesting part about it was we had a participant from Hawaii, Louisiana, Tennessee, Florida, New Hampshire, Colorado, New York, and Pennsylvania.
Wow.
And I reached out to the family in Hawaii and asked them, tell me how you got connected to us. It's like, okay, you all the way over there on the West Coast and we are over here. And she said she didn't know. She could not figure out how she found the link and how she clicked on it and registered her daughter. But her daughter was in a day program, so she wouldn't be able to watch it at the East Coast time. So we sent her information, and all of the participants that were out of state, we packed up their gift boxes and mailed it to them so that they could have, and we fixed 4 bags. We fixed the participant bag, the parent or care provider bag, a snack bag, and a decoration bag, so that they could all decorate an area in their home according to how they wanted to use the decorations and add to whatever. And it was just amazing to see. And it was from like 5:30 until 8 o'clock. We were supposed to end at 8 o'clock. And at 8:30, they were still on their dancing.
Wow.
Okay, y'all, I'm tired. I need to end this party. Y'all can continue to party at home, but we need to go. But they really, really enjoyed it. The games were awesome that they played and everything. It was just an amazing thing, because we just decided we weren't going to do the drive-through because not for fear of the weather, but because we know that more people can participate for us the way we did it. And we were just pleased with how it was.
That is awesome. I love how like you really know your people and you knew this would be what is going to engage them. And wow, 200 people in 3 hours. Wow. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Allison, what do you have for us?
I'm going to piggyback off everybody else's because I've got a little bit of everything in that. I am super impressed, Beth, that you took on the weather and did the in-person. We didn't have the rain. I think we were at about 26 degrees, but boy, did it keep us dancing. We just kept on dancing. And I've got a tip for if you want to meet every guest, you have to do what my coordinators gave me. They gave me a little spot that they put in a circle and they said the Queen. And they gave me a stop and a go sign. And I stopped everybody, chatted with everybody, and then gave them the go to go ahead.
That's great. Love it.
So that was just, and that is my highlight because I then get to see everybody and say hi. I loved it. And then I just, again, we had a softball team that came out. And with the life and soul of the sort of the arrival, high schoolers that just came together. And yeah, there's something about seeing high school boys dancing for something like this that's like, oh, no other, I don't think anything else would quite get them dancing the way that they were dancing for this. But we also had one of those inflatable like cheese stick men.
Mm-hmm. That's a good name for it. Cheese stick man. Yeah.
That's what one of my teenage volunteers went. She goes, oh, you got a cheese stick man? I'm like, oh, yes. So that is my new pride and joy now that I'm going to put out for every occasion.
Yes. Oh, now I want
Everybody
one.
loves that guy.
I want a cheese
And,
stick.
right. And we had so many that would just like come 2 or 3 times through because either the mum wanted to video the experience the second time through, or they just, one of the girls, she cracked me up. She just loved honking the horn. She just came through again. So that was super fun. But it was funny because I did get a chance to, again, mail packages to some of our out of state people or people that I knew couldn't come. And then I managed to drop off the rest of the bags. And again, just I wouldn't have necessarily known some of the circumstances, and the parents were so grateful. They, you know, especially some that are now living independently of their parents, but their parents knew they wouldn't be able to get to the Shine Through. And then the parents sort of found out subsequently that somebody had delivered it to them. It just, yeah, it was just really special that they all got to experience it. And then similar to Sylvia, we did a live Zoom with everybody, and I didn't get to 200. I made it to 100. The funniest thing I have to share with you guys now, and I know it's being recorded, but I had all these props ready. I was like, I've got 20 minutes with all these people. What am I going to do? So I had all these props. I didn't even say a word. Literally. They're on there. They're all looking at all the decorations. This is part of the decorations we'd sent out. They're looking at who's wearing what. They're in the chat. They're like, oh, do you remember me? I remember you. Oh, I love your tiara. Oh my goodness, look at your outfit. They just loved it. And I literally didn't need to say or do anything. Every now and again, I'd be like,
Perfect.
I'm like, this is the easiest Zoom to manage ever. Why did I not do this before?
Love it.
And then we had a few games after I wasn't brave enough to live stream the Tim Tebow video because I thought I would crash and then everybody would miss it. So I said they could go and watch that independently. But then we came back and had Zooms. And again, the same sort, they just, yeah, it was hard to stop them, especially the dance party.
Wow.
It was
so cool.
So fun. It really was. So I'm still riding the high of just the fun. And like you, Diane, I got to watch the video again, live, big screen. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to watch it one more time. Relive the moment.
I wonder how the cheese stick man would have done. We had like gusts of 30-mile-per-hour winds. Yeah, I'm not sure that.
That's even more impressive that you were out there. And I have to say, our DJ is a father of one of the guests, and he said, I just heard from my brother this morning that they were postponing the one that they were supposed to be holding in Texas because it was too cold. Right?
Lame.
Oh. Not you, Diana. But it did make us giggle. We're like,
Yeah.
26 degrees, we got this.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, again, just seeing the volunteers light up and get excited for the guests, and just the joy. I mean, that if you want to capture God's love being shared, that was just like one of those moments where you could just see. Yeah, that was super fun. And I think to your point, Beth, as well, there was just that some of those guests I know wouldn't have come in person.
Yeah.
That to me, again, it's that sort of, that's getting those, spreading the word to more people and sharing it, that in another way it wouldn't have suited them, versus this was an opportunity for them. So there was one car though that I loved. There were 3 guests in the back and 1 in the front, like having their own little party in the car. It's great.
I love it. I love it. Yes, Diana has her hand raised. Where is she?
I just get so excited with hearing Allison and then thinking of all these different stories too. It was windy. I was so glad we didn't do balloon towers or any balloons other than attaching to the car, and those were blowing everywhere, so that was fine. But we took the wind. But I'm already in my brain trying to think of how do we do these hybrid events so we can have a dance for the ones that need to be in person, and how do we honor those that really just don't want to get out of the car. So as we go through the next 12 months, I'm going to look to you all as all your ideas for that.
I 100% agree with you, because we're watching this, and you know, we've got the drum line and the Rockettes, and we're like, we need to do a shine through next year, even though we will also be in person. And so how can we make that happen? Because yeah. Allison.
Is there some way that you could almost do the shine through to enter, and then if they want to get out and participate, they do, but then if they don't, they can also drive away with the goodie bags or what have you. So it's almost like there's the 2 options. I love that idea of having the 2 options, because I think, again, you only see one way when you do it one way, and when you do it another way and you see the different people participating, it's like, actually there's something in that as well.
Yeah. All right. I feel free, anybody else, to share Night to Shine stories, but I also want to talk about some of the other events that you all have done these last 2 years. So does anybody want to share about any other kind of drive-in, drive-up, drop-off, drive-through event that you've done? Al?
Well, it's been 2 years of COVID, and my now 10-year-old son was not doing well with church online, stuff like that. So gosh, like 7-8 months, he just kind of would watch for a minute maybe, and then he'd kind of check out. And there was a church doing buddy break that we found out, well, they asked if they could drop off at Christmas 2020, 21, I guess. So they came by, 4 of them, and it was a house visit basically. They brought a gift and stuff like that. For us, that really meant a lot. And we've been taking John to that church the last 14 months because it's less developed, their disability work, than where we were, but they're there every week in person. And the other one had more going and stuff like that. But I guess the disadvantage of bigger church sometimes is you shut down faster. And so that in-person visit, as a parent, as a special needs parent, that has meant a lot for us. And they did it again this past Christmas too. But just that first time, we were having a hard time with church at that time. And it's pretty simple. It's kind of the visitation thing, but simple is good sometimes. Yeah. And that meant the world to us.
Yeah, thank you for sharing, and thank you for sharing your parent perspective. That's really helpful, I think, for ministry leaders to hear. And and you're right. I mean, the drop off or outdoor visit or whatever it looks like is something that, regardless of the size of your ministry, it can be done on just like a one-to-one relationship, just with a very small number of people. So yeah, thank you for sharing that. Who else has something to share? Allison, will you talk about your respite to go? Since I totally copied it in January and it was a huge success.
Oh, awesome. I was going to say, how did it go? So, yeah, we pretty early on when we went into the lockdown and we couldn't do respite in person, we tried a few variations on a theme, and we got some really good feedback from it and really experienced some fun times with it. We had pretty regularly, so once a month for about over a year, a few volunteers would help me pack craft bags for families. Initially, it was a great way to sort through the closet of overspilling crafts that I'd never ever get around to tidying. So it's kind of like, oh, we can use these and pack them up. So that was the one of the initial activities. But then we would give each family a pizza, and that was a drive-by opportunity. And I know we had a lot of families that, for the isolation factor, that was huge because they literally did not go anywhere else. So the having somewhere specific to drive to get something that their kids were then excited about to then go off, and even just to see a few faces that they recognized amidst, you know, obviously under masks and socially distant, but that was a real that really uplifted them. We then took it a little higher level at Christmas, where we joined in with the kids ministry, and we made the drive-through available to all our kids and church and families. And that was really touching because it was great to be able to take something from special needs and share it in a wider audience that way. And then we did two things online. That Christmas we did a screen, we watched The Grinch together. So we did a live watching of The Grinch, and that was super fun. That was lots of little kids and some older kids. Then in the January, so this was just January 2021, we again did another pizza pickup for the special needs families, but then we invited the kids ministry again to join in with, it was an online magic show. And it was one of our pastors had said to me years ago, oh, I used to do magic shows for kids ministry, and then he'd ended up in student ministry and hadn't been using it quite so much. And I was like, oh, do you do one online? And that was a huge success. A lot of our older special needs kids just loved it. And he had the message, the sort of the full part biblical story through it as well. So that was a really fun, just something very different. And then we gradually moved back to in-person over the summer outdoors. But what I was reminded by my coordinators was in this January, when we really felt we couldn't do an in-person again because we had moved indoors, but with smaller groups of kids, and therefore we were sort of a bit more selective on our invitation, which felt right for the numbers and keeping safe, but at the same time we weren't blessing as many people. And one of my coordinators was like, no, I think we should give it a drive-through again, because that way we could offer it to a wider group of people. We can send the invitation further. And again, we saw different people join in for that. So we did the pizza pickup, and then we did we made it an Incredibles theme. It was all to do with superheroes, and we had some dress ups from that. We had some activities that we gave them for that. And then we did a watch party again of the Incredibles. And one family, it was super sweet. They've got two older girls now at college, and their son with special needs is probably about 14. And just watching the whole of their family sit down, because we zoomed in before, and then I did the watch party. My friend, the mom, just said that to them was such a family moment, that they could all come together, do something that was harder and harder to do just because of the age differences of the kids and everything. And they just really enjoyed that. The dad was great. He's like, you got me at pizza. I'm in for the pizza. We're good.
My language.
Right. So I think what I've come to learn is that it's, and what we've just been already saying here, it's like sometimes you do it one way because you know that that's the way that you get a certain number of people, or you can it's everybody loves the in-person respite where they can physically go away and spend time. But the blessing of the pizza and the video was a different group of people, and I think I was sort of forgetting that, so it gave me an opportunity to do that. So that's sort of where we've grown with it, so to the point where we're again sort of looking at how can we run that simultaneously, that if there's still families that they can't come and therefore we're excluding them, if we're saying we're only doing in person, how do we do a drive-through so they can experience that? And I think, and we always joke after the night to shine throughs, we're like, we should just have a DJ and have a party in the parking lot more often. Like, there's a
Right?
lot to be said for that.
No,
It's
I mean,
so fun.
I think we're all feeling that. Like some of these things are, you know, they're like well, kind of easier events, you know, when they're not these like the in-person prom is, it's a big event. I mean, it takes a lot of coordinating and, you know, the buddies and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, put a DJ in the parking lot and people have fun too. So yeah, I'm right with you on the respite to go. So we totally copied your idea for January. I canceled the in-person because our numbers were getting pretty high out here. And we did the respite to go. And the cool thing was we had families participate that literally can't do respite because of, like, there was one family there that I haven't seen in years. And I mean, I'm in touch with the family, so I know it's like a sensory issue, but like they came. And so that was just so cool. So we did, they registered online, you know, it was free. They would drive up and we gave each guest, each participant, an activity bag filled with, you know, some things that I had found in my closet, plus some things that we ordered, and a large cheese pizza. And one of my coworkers, you know, donned the pizza costume that we have here. And it was freezing cold that day, not rainy, but it was really cold. But again, like just to see people, and we want to do that more often now, you know, even when we are back doing respite in person, which I hope our spring one is, maybe we'll every other month or something, we'll do one of these. It was fun. It was just, and people felt loved, and they are. So let's talk about drive-in movies. Have any of your churches done a drive-in movie? Amy, yay. Okay, tell us about it.
It was such a success, and I didn't expect it to be. I kind of opened it up. We got a screen outside and you could listen to it in your car, but then the worship team, the music directors came out and put speakers up, so it was just better. And I had prayed 60, Lord, just bring 60 people. There were close to 300 that came.
Oh my gosh.
It was one of those, we did it right before Labor Day. And it was just one of those events where you didn't expect it. There should have been more parking, but everybody just had the best time sitting on blankets and on top of their cars. And so this last summer we did it again, but we were smarter, and you park and you come and sit in front of the movie. And it was good. But the first one, wow, did not expect it to go to that degree.
Well, and it was probably like one of the first, I mean, depending on when you did it, it was probably like one of the first events where people were gathering, maybe.
Where they could get out, they could go somewhere and do something.
Yeah. So I like the tips that you shared, like the difference between being in your car or coming out and sit, or are you listening in your car, listening to speakers? So abilityministry.com, and I was kind of hoping Ryan was going to be on here, but they have kind of like a how-to for how to do a drive-in movie. So I think they have it in the form of a blog post that has a downloadable checklist, but that's a resource I would recommend checking out. But this, so our church, actually, we were all set to do one, and then we had high winds that day too, high winds and rain, and you can't install, like the company that does the huge screens won't do it if the winds are above 20 something miles an hour, and they were that day, so we had to cancel. But it's definitely something we want to try again. It can be just a great community event, great church-wide event. Yeah, Catherine's shared the link to abilityministry.com, and I'm almost positive it was a blog post with a downloadable checklist. I should have checked before I jumped on here. Who else has anything to share?
We did a drive-through parade at one point. We joined with kids ministry, and we had signs made that said, "Jesus loves you, and so does the chapel in green." So as they came through, they got a sign for their front yard and a big ice cream cone, and then they could pull off to the side, get out of their car and chat and kind of hang out. But if not, then they could leave. But that was a fun summer of doing things with them. And then you got to drive around and see all the signs in the front yards.
Yeah, very cool. Yeah, we all learned about yard signs these last 2 years too, right? And Catherine has shared the link to how to plan a drive-in movie night in the chat. So, and we'll make sure to link that when we post this video. All right. You know what I love about our discussion today? Like, first of all, we're all so surprised that we tried these things and they worked. So I love that. And I just love how, you're all encouraging each other, and you're encouraging me. So yay, yes. Meekins. You look like you were going to say something. So.
So ours is not to the caliber that you guys have done your, drive ups or drive-ins, because we were talking about a smaller crowd here in that our parent support group was all stuck at home with their kids, and there was no school and there was everything else not happening. And so we were listening to you guys talk about all these things that you were going to do with the drive-in thing or drive-up thing. And we said we could totally do that. So we just ordered stuff from, what is the famous, get all your church supplies?
Oriental Trading.
Oriental Trading, yes, thank you. I knew you know what I'm talking about. So we ordered a bunch of stuff from Oriental Trading. And for Easter, we did a Bible book, some little stuffed animals, fidgets for each child in the family, and then something for the parents. So it was either a Starbucks card or a restaurant card or something like that for the parents. And so they came to us, they came to our driveway. And I remember one of those days was super, like you're talking about cold. I remember I had my winter coat on. I was like, can I run in the house or is somebody going to come again? We gave them a 2-hour time frame to come by. And I thought, okay, we're not doing that again. So let's figure out another way that we can still stay warm and everybody can come. So in fact, so we kind of made appointments with people, and we just said, when is it convenient for you? Because that 2-hour time frame didn't work for some of our families anyway. So we're like, okay, well, we're available this day. When are you coming through? When can you come through? We can be available again another day. What works for you guys? But we're talking maybe 15, 20 families here. So that was totally doable. When you're talking 500 people, you can't do that. But and they just were so grateful. And then we decided that for Valentine's Day, we would just send out a mail out, and we just sent out craft stuff for them to do. And we wanted to get that Bible message out for them too, because they were missing coming to church. And the kids, like Al was saying, the kids can't really sit and watch. A lot of these kids can't sit and watch anything. They need to be kind of in the middle of it, right? So we thought if they could do hands-on stuff, then that would be helpful for them. So we did that. Our church did a movie box. So it was kind of like that Respite to Go, only she delivered them to the families, the director of our special needs ministry. And so it just had a DVD, some popcorn, some candy, something for parents. And that was a huge hit as well. So you can do these things. I guess I wanted to say, you can do these things in a huge, way, like you're talking about, because you have to. And then you can also really target a smaller group of people and find ways to love on them as well. So it was wonderful to see them in person in their cars in our driveway. We loved that. So that part was like, we're talking about how we want to see all the people that are coming through, and we had that opportunity, and we got to talk to the kids in the car, and it was just wonderful. And to realize that this is when we do family things, then the siblings are also feeling loved on. Because when we're doing the ministries exclusive to the special needs person or the person with disabilities, then sometimes they get left out. And, we have 4 kids, and we have one with significant special needs and another one with a learning disability. And so the other 2 got left out of some of those focuses that we had. We tried really hard to make sure everybody was incorporated, but you know how it works. So anyway, so I just wanted to make sure that everybody, whoever watches this, can have that concept too. It doesn't have to be big, it can be small, and it still really blesses people.
I love that. Thanks. That's a great perspective. And thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, and Diane is sharing in the chat that they were at their event, they had siblings dancing and ready for photos. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
And really that in an in-person event, when you have volunteers that are 14 and over, those siblings aren't part of Night to Shine. So it was another little bonus of the Shine Through.
Right.
Was really being able to have them in the car, even if they, you know, and I told everybody, I said, if there's siblings in the car, give them a tiara, give them a crown. They're kings and queens too. We're not being stingy with their stuff.
Right. Right. One of my favorite parts of, excuse me, of the Shine Through, and this is something I would not get to see during the regular in-person prom, because during the regular in-person prom, I'm in with the guests. Seeing, especially the moms, seeing the moms' faces, and I'm going to cry, but we have some of the most amazing pictures of, I mean, just like ear to ear grins hanging out their window. And then there's a few pictures where the mom is turning and looking at their child in the back seat as they're going through the Shine Through and they're being celebrated. And just the, like, it was totally worth it. And I don't always get to see the parents because I'm, you know, with the guests. So anyway, okay.
Yeah, the parents are very grateful, all three that I hosted. I was surprised how grateful they were. But yeah, they were quite touched by the whole thing. Both the
They
dads
got
and
to
the moms,
experience
actually.
every minute of it with their, you know, with their son or daughter, which that's pretty cool. So, you know what? Let's end there. I think, yeah. If you have other ideas, please reach out and share, beth@keyministry.org. I just think this is something, I mean, I feel like all of you that are, you know, on this live, what I'm kind of hearing is we're going to keep doing some version of this, even when we're able to be 100% back, you know, whatever normal is. So, I mean, we've definitely pointed out how important it is. But let's continue to brainstorm these things and to share ideas and encourage each other. So for those who are maybe not on these things every single month, we do have an idea share, which is, you know, kind of a conversation like this on whatever topic. And that's the first Monday of each month at noon Eastern time. And then the third Wednesday of each month at noon Eastern time, we focus on a particular topic. So pretty soon we'll be announcing our March topic, right, Catherine? And we'll be back. We'll get back to you on that one. But you can always check out keyministry.org/events, and that's where we'll keep you posted. And do know that on February 22nd, there'll be a big event getting posted on the keyministry.org/events page, because registration will open for IFL 2022 on February 22nd. Yeah, that deserves hearts. All right. Thank you, everybody. We will see you soon. Thanks for participating. Bye.